Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. You gotta dream. You gotta protect. You want something, go get it. Period.
What's up, guys? Jay here with the For the Love podcast, episode 4. And I'm here with a good friend and someone that I actually look up to, motivates me, and apparently I motivate him, which is great. So that dual motivation is always a positive effect on each other. His name is Todd. Todd, what's up?
What's going on, Jay? How are you, man?
Another day, another podcast here, trying to just spread people's stories. You know, and I think you have a great story. I think where you're at right now in your life is like, it makes me very happy. It makes me very happy. I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
So, Todd, how old are you?
44.
Okay, 44. All right, so you're about 10 years older than me. You have 10 years more life experience. Where you're at right now and where your mindset is now at 44, how do you feel about it?
So, it took a really long time. It was a really long road to get where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I kick myself in the ass saying that, you know, I should be doing this or I should be here. And then I think about the reality of it. If I should be, I would be, right? It's all in the universe's plan. You know, I was supposed to go down the roads I went down to get to where I'm at today.
Everything happens for a reason. That's a big factor that we talk about a lot on here, is how things are just meant to be. And if you can't realize that and learn from it, you're going to have a long, hard road ahead of you.
I think about, you know, if things went a different way, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, you know, and I've never had it so good.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about how we know each other. So we met probably, almost maybe 10, no, maybe not that long ago, maybe
probably like 7, 8 years
7,
ago.
8 years, yeah. So about 7, 8 years we've known each other. We met in probably not the best circumstance.
Definitely not.
We met while I was working and I was patrolling my area. We came across you in a vehicle, and let's hear your story about it.
You know, I may or may not have been doing something I shouldn't have been doing. And you and your partner, you know, came up and approached me. You know, and usually things have always gone different. Right? It's crazy to say this, but that was the first time in a very long time that I was treated like a human being, right? I wasn't looked down upon. I wasn't belittled. You know, you guys just talked to me. And that was the first time in a really long time since someone did that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier, and I told you that really it was on you. And that's how I kind of always done things, and I learned that was the best for me. I always got the best outcome, and I felt the best after doing it that way, because I really try to just leave it on that person. You're going to dictate how this goes in reality. And all I really want is honesty. I want realness, and I don't want to be lied to. So with you, it was really just like right off the bat, like you knew the deal. You knew why we were there. You knew what we were looking for, and you knew that we knew what we were looking for.
Yeah, I wasn't going to lie to you.
So, right. Well, it happens all the time. And so basically that's where the relationship started to build right there, I think, is because we don't come across that often. We come across people wanting to lie to us all the time.
For sure.
And you didn't do that. You were very honest and upfront with us, and everything that you said you would do, you made right. And we kind of built that relationship and took that along for several years. And, you know, it's funny because I've seen you at different times in your life.
For sure.
And I'm sure you've seen me too, even though we weren't next to each other. I'm sure there's times where we have seen each other either on social media, or you might have seen things going on with me, and you know, it just, that relationship will run through your mind, even if it's just for a second. You know what I mean? And that's very important. So we meet, and we have a little sustainable length of a relationship, and it was always interesting to me because I always wanted to like know more about you, and it wasn't anything more than interest, because of your personality and how genuine of a person you seem to me.
I like that. What I thought was really cool was like the random check-ins I'd get. Hey man, how you doing? You know, the way I was living, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At all. And for someone to show that, you know, hey dude, just wondering how you're doing. You know, like, I don't know, dude. It was really cool.
That's good. That's good. I mean, and for me, it's like, I don't know what it is. I just feel drawn to certain people's personalities. So feeling drawn to your personality makes me reach out, because I want to know. I want to know more about that person. I want to know about their well-being, or they might run through my mind for even a second like that. And, you know, I'll reach out, because I feel like that does matter, and builds proper relationships with people. Now, you talk a little bit about how you weren't living right. What do you mean by not living right?
Substance abuse. Substance abuse. You know, I used to get high for a very long time. Specifically,
what would you use?
It didn't really matter. I was a big fan of heroin. It got to a point where, you know, obviously you get physically addicted to that, so that's on the table every day. But I really wasn't too picky.
Yeah.
You know, what do you got?
Right.
You
so
know,
you really, and you weren't health conscious at all. Like, what's running through your mind? Like, I remember sitting in the car one time with you, and this is a profound moment in my mind from our relationship. I don't know why, but it's stuck in my head, because I think it was something I always wondered. Because I wasn't an addict. I've never been an addict. I'm not going to sit here and say that we as people, you know, are different. We're not. It's just we all have our own vices. And luckily for me, my addiction is progression and work ethic and positive things. But it's an addiction, and everybody has that. So I always wondered, when people do things such as hardcore drugs that we know can ruin our lives, do they enjoy this life? And I remember sitting in the car with you, and I said to you, Todd, answer me this question: do you like doing this? Do you like how you're living your life? Do you remember that?
I wish I could say I did.
Well, tell me a little bit about. You probably don't recall your answer, but your answer was no. I hate it.
Yeah, no, probably that sounds very true.
Well, what was, I mean, because it's so ironic that somebody hates their life, hates what they're doing, and hates that they're putting this in their body every day, but they do it. Now, my theory, and I said this to a guy today, is that most people that use a drug such as heroin are probably depressed or unhappy with some type of trauma that has happened in their life. And they might not know what it is, or they might not have that realization yet. But that heroin is similar, in my opinion, to happiness.
Sure.
For when it's running through.
For
you.
sure. While it's working, sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember the first time that I used, and I had a really bad day, and some, you know, messed up stuff happened, and my buddy said, "This will take the pain away." You know, and dude, he was right. You know what I mean? There was no. It was pure bliss.
Was that the first time? Now that's the first time you used heroin. Was that the first time you were using something as hardcore as
yes.
that?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Now, it's crazy to me, because I say to myself, shit, I would never touch that, because I know that people can die from this. I know that it can ruin people's lives. I've seen all this. Is the pain that you are feeling just so overwhelming that thought is not even around?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really... So at first is, I'm not going to die. You know what I mean? That only happens to other people.
Oh, okay.
Till I was that other person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And waking up from a coma, you know, like not knowing what happened, how I got there.
Right.
You know, like that only happens to other people till you become that other person.
Right.
I heard for a long time that, you know, you got a problem. And I didn't understand what people were talking about because I didn't have a problem. When I was using drugs, like, I was okay inside. You know what I mean? And, like, I was okay right here, right now in my own skin. And really, that's all that mattered.
And do you think it was the drugs that was making you feel that okay?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that was
Was
the
it
right...
masking unhappiness?
Probably. Probably all kinds of stuff. It was, you know, masking. But it wasn't until it stopped working, right? When the pain of everyday life just was still there, you know, after using. And when I couldn't stop as much when I wanted to. Only then did I realize it was a problem.
Now, when you started to realize it was a problem, what made you? How does that realization come about?
You know, I really don't remember.
Really?
I just knew that it wasn't working anymore, and like my life sucked, and it sucked because I was using drugs, and something had to change.
That's a pretty powerful moment because I think like not everybody in this world gets to that point, obviously, and their lives, you know, wreak havoc upon a lot of things. They spiral out of control, and death or really bad things can happen. And when I sit here and I hear you like talk about this, it's kind of like gives me like chills, because for the brain, I'm very interested in the brain and how it works. And little moments like that you just said, that's a split-second moment in reality. It's like, what, maybe 20 seconds that you're thinking in your head that can change your life. And it's just a thought. And that thought was so powerful that it pushed you to really implement a life change.
Oh, for sure. It was a complete life change. And
now, let's get back to kind of like when you were involved in actually heavy using. Because I want people to understand how people feel during this time and what their mindset is and really what it's doing to themselves and other people. When you were doing this, what was your like everyday routine?
Get up, hustle up some money to get loaded, hustle up some more money to get loaded, and that's all it was. I mean, I didn't leave my apartment unless I didn't have to.
Wow. And now how were you hustling up money? Committing crimes? Or
for the most part, no. I would, you know, go find some people who wanted whatever and kind of like be the middleman. I mean, I guess, dude, you come down to it, technically, that's probably some kind of...
Yeah, in a way, you could get jammed up for that.
Like a conspiracy or something.
But you're not hurting others in a manner of... Everybody knows what's going on. You're not deceiving people. You're not stealing from people. You're not putting people in real harm's way. They're wanting something, and you're helping them get it. Yeah. That's how you survived.
That was my hustle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So your everyday routine was just... Now, you weren't working. Were you doing odd jobs or anything like that?
No, I was completely unemployable.
You told me...
I'm sorry. I did have a job as a dishwasher.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would get a phone call and someone would want something Friday night. It didn't matter. I would just leave.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. Like, I have a job, but like getting loaded was a full-time job.
That's how much it is, really.
Yeah.
It really becomes a priority of your life.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and
now, but do you see that in a lot of people that are using? Like,
more
do you see
so
how
than
you were in people?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, this priority, I mean, you're leaving your job. That's crazy. You're leaving a job in the middle of the job to go hook somebody else up with something because you know you're going to get some money to use, so that's obviously the priority, and you're just, this is just your life routine. There's no real progression going on. In reality, it's, you're moving backwards every day.
For sure. It got to the point where I was so depressed. I was 275 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
275 pounds.
Now, it's not often that people gain weight from drug use. They usually lose weight.
Yeah.
That's a completely different.
Food stamps. I'd eat like ice cream and junk food and
Yeah. Now, you were on these services. You were getting food stamps, stuff like that.
yeah.
And that's something that, there's a big cry of people that are against that.
For sure, right? And so it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Some people are like, oh, drug addiction, it's a choice. Oh, it's a disease. Oh, it's weak will. Like, if I could not have done it, I would have stopped. For the people that argue that it's a choice and not a disease, do you know what the DSM-5 is?
That's like the book that they have for like mental illness and things of that nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Substance abuse disorder is
Yeah.
in the DSM-5.
Mhm.
It's a disease, right? And
That's interesting because, like I was talking to you earlier, we had training recently about that, and you hear people that's a big debate: is it a disease or is it not a disease? And even I am on that cusp, and but then I start to think about it, and I'm like, it is a truth that addiction can be genetic. I do believe that 100%, because you see people, and I see it more now that I'm getting older and I'm more observant, that I see even friends where their mother or father was an alcoholic and they're on the verge of that, but they don't really realize it, and then they're pissed off at their parent for being like that, and I'm looking at them like, you're gonna be that. So I do believe that there is a genetic aspect to it where that could be categorized as a disease. So is that something, like, what's your view on that in regards to disease or not disease and genetic and how these people are really, what do you see more causing this epidemic?
so if I knew what the cause was, I'd be able to find a way to fix it. Because millions of people, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people are dying. I mean, you have to see it all the time.
All the time.
You know
all
what
the
I mean?
time.
Like,
every day we're going to overdoses daily, multiple.
yeah.
And what's crazy, I tell people though, is I'll never understand this. I've seen people literally die, dead, be brought back from Narcan, and then they wake up and they're pissed off and they don't want to go to the hospital. They're like pissed at you for saving them, and all these things. And it's interesting because they showed us a video today, and this one guy, he was a Boston police officer. He was in the military, all these things, and he had an injury, got hooked on drugs, and then his whole life spiraled out of control, living under bridges, stuff like that. And he said, he woke up from dying several times and was pissed about waking up, because he was like, I can't even die right.
For sure. I remember getting high one day, and I thought that I'll never forget this, man. It hadn't been too long since I had relapsed. I had put some few years together, and I had relapsed, and I maybe had been using for 5-6 months, and I did some cocaine, and I thought I was going to die. So I went in the bathroom and locked myself in the bathroom because I didn't want anyone to find me.
And you were okay with it? Like,
I laid down on the floor like I was going to die because I didn't have to live like this anymore.
Wow.
And when I realized that I wasn't, I started crying.
Because you wanted it to happen?
I didn't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, right? Like, I have heard, like, I'd been involved in like 12-step fellowships before, and like I've thought that, maybe this isn't for me, right? It works for you, but not for guys like me.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, it does work for guys like me.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I was similar to that. It's funny you say that, because that thought process, even me, okay, like I was always a big believer that therapy does not work. It's a waste of time, because you're going and you're speaking to a person that doesn't know you. They don't know your life. They're not around you. They know nothing about you. How could they help you when they don't know you? But in reality, it's not about that. It's about being able to understand from another perspective and getting all those feelings of why you feel a certain way or what's going on with you out, and somebody helping you understand it, not fix it, understand, and then work on it. But we often think that it won't work for us. It's not something that I need to do, or it won't work for me. Yeah, okay, it will work for other people. And that was your thought process. So what changed?
Life wasn't going too well, man, and something had to change. You know, and
when you told me earlier you fled to Boston.
I did.
How did that come about?
So the girl I was dating at the time was from out there, and her mom got sick. I had violated probation, and I really didn't want to go to jail. Right? Who does?
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured Boston was a safe bet.
So you had warrants out for your arrest. You flee up to Boston, and what was your plan? I mean, you knew that even if you ever came back to Connecticut, you're gonna have to situate this stuff.
For sure.
So what were you doing?
Not situating it, I guess. Right? Like kind of like avoiding it. I'll deal with it later. And I ended up getting sober up in Boston.
How did that happen?
I was crazy thing. I would come back from Boston to New Haven to go see my guy and get my drugs.
You went all the way from Boston. That's a 3 hour, probably longer sometimes with traffic and whatnot. Yeah. You would drive all the way here. What made you drive all the way back to New Haven?
I knew that if I got it in Boston, it would be even a bigger problem.
Really? Why?
It would have been a lot easier to get.
Yeah. You
didn't
want to connect up there.
No, I did not want to connect up there. In the back of my mind, I knew that this had to stop.
So you knew that it would be harder for you eventually. You would say, I just don't want to go all the way there.
Yeah.
But you were strong-willed enough to say, I mean, that had to have happened at some point.
So when I went up to Boston, I was on methadone. So that made it a little bit easier to where I wasn't going to be sick.
Right.
And I was coming back and forth to New Haven, and it was on the anniversary of my friend's death. So for 5 years, I didn't draw a sober breath. You know, I got high or drunk every day for 5 years.
Wow.
And there was 1 week that I didn't. You know, it was like 7 days, and then I made a trip back to New Haven. And it was my friend's the 1 year anniversary of my best friend's death. And we used to go get these Starbucks double shot energy drinks.
Yeah.
And we'd just like go hang out at a park or something. And he would talk about all these great things he wanted to do when he got sober. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm never going to. Like, this is just my lot in life. And like,
you accepted it.
It's what it is. And I realized I had put a week together, and it had been 5 years since I had drawn a sober breath. And I was like, I am done. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. And I haven't looked back since.
And you made that decision in New Haven?
In Boston.
Okay. Gotcha.
In Boston.
So, ever since that day, you've been good?
Yeah.
So now you're up in Boston, you decide you're going to be clean, and you basically end up back here. How does that happen? Especially with all the warrants and stuff. How did you situate all this?
So I was in Boston, and I knew that there was things I needed to do, right? I needed to go and stand on my feet and be a man and take care of myself. I needed to get my driver's license back I hadn't had a driver's license in like 10 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, right? I had these warrants I needed to get taken care of because I was tired of every time I left the house, like petrified I'm going to get pulled over. You know, so I moved back to New Haven. Started doing some. About a year. After about a year, I moved back to New Haven. Got my driver's license back. Got a job. Went and turned myself in on the warrants. Yeah, man.
Now, do you have any situations now going on still?
Nothing.
Everything's going clean slate.
Clean slate.
That's phenomenal, dude.
It is.
That's phenomenal.
It is.
And so, you end up now working in a recovery situation.
Yeah, I work in the addiction services field.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you told me earlier, you're like, you mentioned you were an electrician, which I knew from a while back, and that's great money, great trade. And you looked at me and you said, I asked you, I said, well, why don't you do that? It pays you more. And you're like, I want to help people.
I want to help people. Yeah. So I think I'm really glad you did this show, right? Because I think there's a huge stigma that comes along with addiction, alcoholism, something. And it kind of get like, there's just a nasty stigma that comes along with it. And we're not all bad people, man. No. We may do some shitty things at times, but it doesn't make us bad people.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's kind of where even our relationship is odd in a way. People will look and say, a police officer and an addict, how did their personalities click? You know what I mean? But that right there shows you that it's not about the circumstances, it's about the people. And that's why I did do this, because I want people to understand that there's people behind the circumstance.
For sure, man. I wish there was more people like you out there doing what you do. I really do.
Thank you.
You know, I think about this all the time. Is the answer medication? Is the answer jail? You know what I mean? Is there like a black and white answer to fix this problem? Because it's a huge problem. Huge problem. You know, and like we were talking about a little later, there's no like, do some people need to go to jail? Sure. Do some people need medication? You know, sure.
It's hard to really situate out what each person needs, because each person is using in a manner of whatever type of emotion is causing them to use.
For sure.
So are they using because they're hurting about this, that, the other? And how do you really get deep down into that issue? You know, and that's where like I got into it with this guy today, because he's pushing the whole methadone, Suboxone, all these things. And I just asked a simple question. I'm like, why are they not trying other things or implementing it with the drugs that are proven to be beneficial, like meditation, yoga, therapy? And I know they have group and all that stuff, which is a form of therapy, but things that are proven. I mean, meditation is huge. Why are they not implementing these things more? And the answer I get is, number one, the guy was a drug pusher, so he wanted to push it. That's the best option. But, you know, when you talk to these people a little bit more, the answer is always money. And money and money. Money is what's pushing the drugs, and the profits are pushing it. And on the other end, the people at the top who have the power to really make this change are profiting and benefiting. And you are really working extremely hard to try to help in the right manner. And that's where I feel like it's lopsided. The people who have the power and the money and the real means to make the change don't want to, because it's profitable.
So we were talking about this a little earlier. Was on the clinic here in New Haven. Went up to Boston. Was on the clinic there. They're two completely different. They don't let fly half the stuff, because out there they really want to help you.
That's great. Yeah.
I remember being on the clinic, and I'm like, the don't want to be on this. I want to get off. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. It's not happening.
Here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, when you say that, like, they really want to help you, what do you mean? Like, people are sitting there like, what? The other New Haven doesn't want to, or Connecticut doesn't want to? What's the difference?
So when I was on in New Haven, I probably saw, right, they changed the way things were done. And you used to have to go like once a week and like have a therapy session or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then
I
they
think that's
changed
great.
it to, no, you only need to make contact. So you just need to go and like say, hi, this is my number. And they'd write it down and they'd be like, oh, cool, you made contact.
Now, we kind of got into a conversation today when we were talking about these clinics and stuff, and I'm like, why are there not regulations on these statewide, meaning because we see an influx of people coming from all over the state to this specific area.
Oh, for sure.
What's the reasoning for that? There's got to be a reason.
Oh, because in New Haven, it doesn't really matter if you're clean or not. If you're in Hartford, I had a friend who worked at the Hartford dispensary, like, so for 1 year, right, you can have dirty urines. After that 1 year, if something doesn't change, they detox you off of it.
Mm-hmm.
New Haven, it's sad to say, it's all about the money. I was telling my clinician in Massachusetts how messed up it was, and it was like she didn't believe me. And she had a picture on it because she just didn't believe how wild it was that I was telling her. She's like, "There's no way it can be like this."
Isn't it crazy? Because obviously I have stories upon stories because of the fields that I'm in, such as you as well, and people think this stuff doesn't happen. It's obvious to most, but if you're not around it or you're not seeing it every day, they think that these things are like crazy.
It's like unbelievable, right? Like, how could a place let this happen?
Right.
She had a picture of one of the satellite programs, and I'm like, oh, that's doesn't look too bad. She's like, that place is a shithole. I said, shithole? I said, type in this address. And she puts it in, and all you see is, everything's blurry because they don't show faces on like Google Maps. Mm-hmm. You see a guy slumped over on the curb.
No.
Swear to God. You pan the camera around so it's not facing the clinic and it's facing the other side of the street. You see a big circle of people. You know what I mean? And they're all with their hand out.
Get out of here.
It's clear as day. Clear as day what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? And you see security in the parking lot.
Yep.
Like, you're supposed to be there to stop this.
Yeah. That area is saturated.
Oh, I lived there.
Listen,
I know.
Yeah, and listen, drug dealers know to go there early in the morning. And it's like a free for all for them. It's easy money for them. You know what I mean? And it's wild because, like we said, now this is why I say implement programs attached to these drugs, because these people are getting their methadone, they're getting their Suboxone, and they're in and out. And the answer I'm getting is, oh, it's easier in New Haven on the level of it's quicker. It's quicker. And then the other excuses I hear is this is coming from clinicians, not the actual people that are getting it. That's why I value your opinion and your views, because you live this. You've done it. You don't have an ulterior motive. And they tell me, oh, some people, they don't want to be seen in their town and stuff like that. That I can kind of understand. I get it. But what we see often is these people getting their stuff and then leaving the area over there and going downtown, and there's havoc being wreaked down there. And that's why I say implement. Like, the big reason why me and many other people are not in that position is because I utilize my time, and I don't have much of it because I'm doing things. If you are doing stuff with your time rather than roaming around all day long, you might not have that ability to fall into that life. And that's what's going on. So in mass that wasn't happening.
No, they didn't allow more than 10 people to go wait in line inside the building. They didn't even let you wait in line outside. You sat in your car because they didn't want people congregating, because they don't want people doing things they shouldn't be doing. And I never once I had a really good clinician there, and like that, I think that was something that made two people touch my life, right? You,
Oh, thanks.
right, and my clinician.
Yeah, that's great.
She, amazing person, amazing. People care, right? And you show that you care, and people will open up a little more. People will, you know what I mean? People are willing to tell you what's going on. You show that you care. And
Right.
I'm not saying that doesn't happen at the places in New Haven. I will say that I didn't experience it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't see it.
And that's where I say that people at the top really have the power to change that, because I feel like the people that, even these clinicians, they're probably burnt out, because even as a police officer or a public safety or a firefighter or an EMT, you're getting burnt out because you actually do have that intention of helping. That's what you go into it doing, and then you see that it's a revolving door of just constant routine of the same shit. And you try to implement, you try to help, you try to do everything, and the people at the top just don't really care about that help. They care about the money. Therefore, whatever you're doing just never really pans out for the most part. And you start to get burnt out, and your personality becomes negative. And that's why I believe a lot of the people that do help around here get burnt out. And that's why people like you aren't getting the same treatment that they should be getting. Not that the clinicians are not good or anything like that, or that Massachusetts clinicians are better. It's just they're more equipped, and they realize more about what they shouldn't be doing.
For sure. What works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
I don't think the same thing works with every person. Does that stuff work for some people? For sure. I have a couple friends, amazing lives. You know what I mean? And that works for them. And I know lots of people that it doesn't work for, but it's a monster to get off.
Yeah. What does that physically do to your body? I mean, what are you feeling like? Like, give me a look into using and what the use of it made you feel. Meaning, like, when you're on and when you're off, how you felt.
So, getting high, kind of like a warm hug. And just like everything's okay. Like your legs falling off, that's cool. Everything's all right.
Gotcha.
Getting off of it, it was a really long, painful process. Like, when I say long, like, it took 6 months to taper off of it, and it probably took a good 9 months to maybe a year before I started to feel right after being off of it, for like to be fully detoxed. The best thing I ever did, though.
What do you think helped you the most during that time?
So I got involved in 12-step fellowships, and some kind of like Buddhist based recovery.
I'm a big fan. I tell people all the time, like, I'm not the biggest, not fan, but believer in specific religion. You know what I mean? I grew up Catholic, and that's just a part of me. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of me. That's how I grew up. That's what I was taught. But I also love Buddhism. I love certain aspects of it, and the peacefulness of it, and the morality of it. And so for me, I kind of implement a lot of different things in my own beliefs, and basically that, do whatever you want in your life in reality. That's why, like, you used drugs, but at the end of the day, if you're not hurting other people, which you're kind of like a rare breed in a way, if you think about it, because I don't come across a lot of drug users that have not hurt people or stolen or done these crazy things. And maybe you have, but for the most part, these are the the things that are wreaking havoc on people's lives. And my big belief is, if you're not hurting other people, do whatever you want in your life. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be judged. It's your life. But you make it how you want to make it. Don't hurt other people. Don't make people victims. And do whatever you want. But for you, I mean, what part of Buddhism really brought you that strength?
So I've had a friend who was into Buddhism, and he started doing this Buddhist recovery stuff, and he turned me on to it. I saw him before he did it, and I saw him while he was doing it, and I'm like, if something like that can have such a profound impact on him, you know, maybe it can do me a little good.
That's your thought process is really interesting to me, because like I said, I love how the brain works, and I love when I can see people who have that strength in them really pull it out. And I sit there and I listen to you bring up certain aspects of that and what you were thinking at the time. And I love that, because it shows how a simple thought like that can be really profound and really impactful in your life. And you choose to take that thought and implement it into your life. So that really kind of helped you spiritually.
For sure. Yeah. Like, unlike you, I have a really hard time with like organized religion. I don't really buy into it. And it works. Some people do. Awesome.
Teach their own.
Awesome. I don't, though. And I know that I need some kind of spirituality in my life, right?
It's very important. I'm a big believer in my opinion on how the world works and spirituality and all these things is that the universe is really connected. I feel like everything that's going on in our life is interconnected. Okay?
Sure.
The moon, the stars, the sun, all these things are energy. Energy rains down on us and creates either good or bad. And there's somebody controlling that energy. Whether it's Jesus, God, or any other type of God from any other religion, I don't know. But something. And I believe all those things work in connection with each other. So my belief is not really that, you know, there's a specific religion or a specific God. I just feel like that's why I'm so adamant about how we all are connected. We all really have the ability to make this world what we say we want it to be, but it's society that's not doing that. It's our thoughts, our beliefs. And I truly feel that moments such as these, because I had profound moments too in my life where it really hit me hard and made me think really deep about my life. And not everybody gets to that point, but I think the world does this on purpose. I feel the world is going to keep putting you in certain circumstances because you're not learning your lesson. And the fact of the matter is, the world wants you to live based off of love. I think love is the most powerful thing.
For sure.
It makes you do crazy shit, and it can bring you crazy shit. It can change your life or ruin your life. And I think the whole aspect is that we need to realize that kindness, compassion, love, all these things is the basis of life. And what I think the world does is it puts you in these crazy life predicaments to see how you're going to react and what you're going to do. And if you keep fucking up and not doing what the world wants you to do, or what the real meaning of it is, meaning you get into a situation and you get, you know, it's stressful or it's hard or it's whatever, and you go and you use or you beat up your wife or you steal from somebody, that is not how the world wants you to take that situation. That situation was put in your life for you to learn from it, not to feel negative and go do negative things. And I feel like that's why people's lives never change, because they never make that connection, and they don't realize that the world's trying to tell you something, man, and you're doing the same shit over and over again. How do you expect it to change? And if you just implement that love, that care for yourself first, you can utilize the world the way it was supposed to be.
For sure. So, where would we be without love? You know what I mean? Compassion, care, kindness, you know, someone to understand us. Like, what would we even be? You know, you said like the world teaches us a lesson, you know, and like we go through these things. And I believe that I went through these things so I can help other people in some way, right? To do something. Every day I strive to be a better man. Every day I do the best I can to put a little good back into the world I took so much from. Right. Whether it's let someone go in front of me in traffic, hold the door for someone, say thank you to the woman ringing me out at the grocery store. You know,
you're grateful.
For sure, man. My life sucked, and like that's putting it mildly. If you would have told me that I could live the life I have today, there's no way, man. It's just
you never thought it was possible.
No, I didn't.
Now, that's where that gratefulness, that humbleness comes in, because that's why I bring people like you on here, and I try to really connect with certain people, because when I see that in them, that they have that personality that I know you had, I feel like it's no different than me. Like, just because you're in a different predicament, that your personality is similar to mine. We have the same views, same beliefs. We connect on a different, a certain level, and people don't understand that. That's why you don't judge, because it's not the outside, it's not the circumstance of what's going on with that person. It's their personality and who they are on the inside, and that's why this connection was so ironic but so real. And you know, I'm very glad to see where you're at. I'm very proud of you as a human being, as a man. And when you hit me up that one time and you gave me that you know, message of how I was a big part of your life, you don't think that. You don't think that you're that impactful to people.
For sure. I mean, right? How often do you see what you're seeing now, right? How often do you see this?
All the time.
You know, like people who were living a certain way and completely turned their lives around, and like you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I ran into your old partner who was getting my hair cut, and
yeah,
and he's looking at me and I'm like, I know this dude from somewhere. And I go home, I go on Facebook and I see this dude, and I'm like, that's where I know him from.
He asks about you all the time too.
Yeah,
he does.
You know what I mean?
He does. He asks about you all the time. He's very proud of you as well, and we're both proud to see that. You know, we were a part of that. I'm very grateful for that. But regardless, even if I wasn't, I'd be so proud of you at what you accomplished. And I don't think people. The thing is this, dude. Like we were talking about, man. You're just a normal person. You're like everybody else. And that stigma that you were talking about is what needs to be broken, because if people could see where you were and what you are now, that is a huge way for them to change their perspective. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I want more of this. Like, yeah, people can go to seminars and sit with clinicians and get training, but I want to hear it firsthand from people who lived it.
It's really hard today to find. You probably go to a room with 1,000 people, in those 1,000 people, it'd probably be really hard to find 5 of them whose lives aren't impacted by some way about someone, you know, with substance abuse, alcoholism. It's a friend, a girlfriend, a brother, an uncle, you know, a second cousin twice removed, their best friend growing up, a high school teacher. Like, it's out there, it's everywhere, you know, but then yet people still be like, oh, you know what I mean? Oh, look at, you know.
Yeah, they'll judge, they'll look down because it's not them. that is experiencing or doing that, so they think that I'm better than them, because I would never do that. I would never touch that stuff.
Right.
Now, I was even a guy who was very unsympathetic of these things, because I always said it's a choice. It's a choice. I was kind of closed-minded in a way, but as I grew older and my thought process got different, and certain things happened to me in life and opened up my mind, opened up my spirituality, I started to look at things differently. And that's why I do this stuff, because I want people's minds to open up. We're not educated enough. Just because we can go out there and sit in seminars, or we could go out there and listen to doctors and celebrities and all these things, that is not realistic. This right here, this connection, this talk, people who lived it, that's the reality. And that's where we should be learning from. And that's where you should be really getting your motivation from, because everybody has that strength. It's just you need to learn how to bring it out of you, and you need the right motivation. So I hope that when people sit here and listen to this story, listen to Todd, everything he went through and where he's at, it pushes them to make the same strides in life. Now, what are your goals from here on?
So my goal eventually is to go back to school. Long-term goal is to go get my master's.
Where are you at now with that?
I have no
any college?
No college.
So you know that the state is implementing a free tuition for anybody that has never went to college.
I just saw that. Yeah.
So that should be something that you take advantage of and go get that. If that's a goal of yours, you know the deal. You have that will in you to implement and to say, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. You've done it. And that's where people really go wrong, is like, you can't succeed if you don't implement. If you have a thought and you say, I want to do this, or I'm going to do this, the majority of the people never get past that. You got past it. You made probably the most progress out of most people in life because of your situation, and you achieved something that was so hard for obviously a lot of people, because this is an epidemic. And now I hope you can channel that into these other goals that you have. Is that something that's I mean, everything you went through, that has to push your motivation even harder now.
Sure. Right, it's what I want to do. Like you said, we were talking before, like, I want to help people. Mm-hmm. You know, if I can do it, right, dude, if I can find my, and one, I didn't do it alone. You know what I mean? I had lots of help, you know, I got some crazy stories, dude, like really weird, like we were saying before, like I don't believe in like organized religion, but I do believe that there's something out there.
Same,
right?
I believe that.
There's something out there,
that.
like really weird. So I had this big, huge, crazy beard, right? Because like trying to hide my face because I didn't want.
Was this when you were like trying not like fleeing and you grew a long ass beard for that? You're crazy, dude.
Right, funny. And also, dude, I was just so fat. My teeth were really bad, dude. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to. I was really embarrassed, and so I ordered this thing for my electronic cigarette, right? And it came from France, and they sent me the wrong thing. And I'm emailing them back about what they sent me, right? And they're like, no, we sent you the right thing. And I'm like, no, you kind of didn't. You know, I just want what I ordered. And they're like, cool, we'll send it to you. Please send that to someone in the United States. We'll get you an address to mail it to. Please send it out. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. So they message me back, and they're like, yeah, this guy lives in Massachusetts. Lived like 15 minutes from me. Mm-hmm. And so I messaged the guy, and he's like, yeah, bro, I'll come and pick it up. Dude shows up at my house, and we just start talking, right, dude? We just hit it off. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, he was a person just like me.
Wow. Substance
abuse. And he had, you know, a significant amount of time in recovery. And left to a ride, you know, I left with when he left, I had his phone number and a ride to, you know, a 12-step meeting.
Wow.
And like, I had no part in that, dude.
And crazy how the world works. Brought that to you.
Insane.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is, in my head, I'm like, that's cool. I'm not calling this guy. And like, just like you hear me now, I heard in my head, you asshole, you're going to call him.
That's amazing.
And I was like, bro, I had it.
Yeah, that's wild how the world brings these things to you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you strike a relationship with that dude?
Yeah.
You still in touch with him at all?
Yeah, we still talk.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Great, man. Started a
phenomenal.
business, got married.
Wow.
Having a baby.
That's great. That's the thing, like this, it's possible. It's possible, people. Like, you see these success stories, and in reality, these success stories are based on certain aspects. If you take anything from this, it's this: people want compassion, people want love, they want to feel care, and that's what the main reasoning for addiction is, because people don't feel loved or they're hurting. And you realize that specific people in your life gave you that compassion, and you utilized that compassion. It made you feel good, and you ran with that.
For sure. So that like started it, right? That like started the journey. And like, there's things I need to do to maintain, my recovery. There's certain principles that I need to follow. You know what it's kind of like, man? It's kind of like working out, dude. You go to the gym and you get all buff, right? And what happens when you stop working out?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like how recovery is for me. If I stop doing the things I've been doing, in order to stay here, I'm not going to stay.
What are some of those things that help you?
Be a better person.
Like you said, mentioning, like, just saying to yourself every day, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to help. I'm not going to let this get to me. Talking to yourself.
I try to be of service to someone somewhere. Like I said, man, just do something good. I'm involved in 12-step fellowships and everything that entails. I've tried to do this without all that stuff, and when I stop, it's only a matter of time.
Right.
That's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned. Like, I thought that, like, I could, get my shit together, get some shiny things, you know what I mean? And life is good now. I got these shiny things. I got a pretty girl, I got some money in the bank. I got I'm an electrician. I got a good job. You know what I mean? Like, Isn't that what life is?
That's the
having
thing.
Money and some shiny shit.
Everybody thinks that.
The shiny stuff loses its luster really fast.
In reality, all those things are filling a void.
For sure, man. For sure.
A void.
It took a really long time for me to realize that.
Mm-hmm. The people that I find most are most happy have realized that. And it's crazy because you hear it all the time. It's so simple. It's like, oh, material things don't make you happy. Money isn't happiness. Yeah, sure, those things bring you freedom, or they bring you less stress. But if you don't utilize it properly either, you can easily fall. We see millionaires falling into drug abuse and dying and all these things. So that should be enough to tell you that that's not the truth.
For sure. I see it. I can't really go into it, but I see it daily.
Yeah, you see people that are deemed successful in life, and they're dying, or they're ruining their life, or they're a closet addict, and people don't know this.
Yeah.
And they're just barely getting by and functioning. But eventually, that could all come crashing down on them. Most likely.
It eventually, like, getting loaded doesn't do what it used to anymore.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. How much time? Some people.
And is that why you think people are just like constantly putting more in their body, and more and more and more and more, and that's when they just die?
For sure. I think that the stuff out there too, all this fentanyl and carfentanil.
Yeah.
I had a friend's sister. She bought some cocaine. Died. Laced with fentanyl.
And that's the thing, you'll never know.
No.
You'll never know. You're taking such a risk. It's crazy. And this fentanyl, like, just a little bit amount, just the tiniest amount, you're done. And what do they do? I don't understand why they're even putting that stuff in there. What does it just make the high so much more potent?
It's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap, right?
Yeah.
And what is it, especially in the drug trade, like, what does it all come down to?
Money, profits.
The dollar.
Yeah.
You know?
That's crazy. So they're cutting that, and they're probably, if they're cutting it, they're probably cutting it with a lot, not just a tiny amount.
I got out like right as all this fentanyl was getting into the scene, and
You got lucky.
I did.
Holy shit.
I did. So I was like, part of my hustle was like, I was like the tester, right? I would go
You're
with,
nuts. That's nuts.
I would go with the plug to go see his plug.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I would say yay or nay.
Wow, that's crazy.
And like, everyone says it's fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Oh, this is the best. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Jeez.
And I didn't care, right? Like, I just wanted it to end. And I put myself into some really hairy situations. And I said some things to some people where I was living that most people
What do you
wouldn't.
mean by that? Just being like,
They
high or
would sit on
messed-
my stoop and
Yeah.
sell drugs.
Yeah.
And I would tell them where they could go and what I thought of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? What are you going to do? Kill me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, that's much better than the way I'm living.
Yeah.
You know?
So you were just reckless. in
Yeah,
all
dude,
aspects.
I did not care.
What was one of the craziest things you've ever did?
They just... I hate litter.
Okay.
I hate it when people litter.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for it, right?
Right.
There's no need for it. And in the inner city, you see it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it is.
Mhm.
I don't know why it's okay there. This dude was in his car in front of where I was living, eating some Chinese food, and he threw it out the car as I was walking by, and I picked it up, opened his back seat, and threw it in his car. And I said, dude, you can take that home to your house.
Oh shit! I like
You
that.
know?
I like that.
Right, dude? And I didn't realize, what was he going to do? Beat me up?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
and
what I
these
mean?
were not what you would deem these as who? What type of people?
I wouldn't
Drug
say they
dealers
were.
or gangsters? Or,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Or like wannabes,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Was
there
I
are
a
lot
tough
of
guy?
those.
No, not at all, man. Like, definitely not a tough guy. I just didn't care,
Mhm.
right?
Were you chasing more the high or death?
It's a really good question. You know what I mean? Like, that fine line, right, is where I like to play.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
That is odd.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all right, I breathed 3 times in the last 2 minutes. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like,
Have you ever had? So you told me one time you were in a coma.
yeah,
How did that happen?
I overdosed, and then was in a coma for 3 days.
Jeez. And now, do you have any after effects of any of this, like that linger, health issues, or anything like that?
No, I mean, I got a pretty good, clean bill of health.
That's great.
Besides being like super overweight right now.
You look great, dude. You don't look,
Thanks, man. I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I
you
lost.
look great, dude.
I was 275 pounds. I'm
That's
like
wild.
220.
That's wild.
now.
Like we said, usually most people lose weight,
Yeah.
not gain it.
Well, I felt like when my best friend died, I fell into like a super depression.
And what were you doing besides using drugs?
No,
But what put
I
all that
didn't-
weight on? Eating?
Eating, doing nothing, right? The girl I was dating at the time, she worked at a restaurant and she would bring home like cakes and desserts and
Oh,
like
wow.
just all unhealthy food,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Processed food, really cheap.
Yeah.
You know
Of
what I
course.
mean?
Yeah.
I got to eat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
And you're probably lazy. Not like you said, you weren't leaving the house. You
no,
didn't want
I didn't
you know
leave
what
my.
I mean? And that depression, when people are in that deep of a depression, you know, I do have a lot of respect for that type of stuff because it really does immobilize your life.
Yeah, like my best friend left my house. We were on the phone. He got on the highway. He crashed his car and trapped inside and burned to death.
Get
leaving
outta
my
here.
house.
And you were on the phone with him when
We
this
just
happened?
hung up the phone.
No.
Yeah.
Where was this?
He was getting onto the Merritt Parkway.
And was he high or was he just?
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And now that was the person you're talking about that caused you to fall into this.
No, that was
Or
somebody else. Yeah, that was
that's still wild, dude.
yeah.
That's still wild. All these things that could be possibly avoided by not using.
He was a horrible driver. He was a horrible driver.
Okay, well, maybe not.
Right? So, and like, I don't know what caused the crash. I wasn't in the car.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't say that he was a really bad driver.
Okay. So, a little insight there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the
I'm
influence
sure
didn't help.
I'm sure they did.
Right. That's funny.
I'm sure they did, and I think that if I could have done something different and made him stay, I would have. I held that stuff for a very long time.
How did you learn to cope with these things and let go of the past?
I talked about it. You know, I found someone that I trusted, and I opened up to.
It's awesome.
Something powerful I learned was talking about things, right, takes the power away from it.
True.
You know, and that was, it sounds really simple, right, dude? Something's bothering you, you talk about it, it usually doesn't bother you anymore. Heard it a million times, but I didn't realize it until I did it.
Yeah. Well, we don't think it's that easy. And especially if you're a man, we think we can handle everything ourselves. We think we're strong. We don't need people to talk to. We can do it ourselves. We can put the world on our shoulders. That is how most men think. That's why I always said I feel like women are so much more stronger than men. They're in tune with their emotions. They're in touch with their emotions. They're not afraid to show it. And that is what is so important, I feel like, and why they are stronger, because when you're in touch with your emotions and you can understand emotions, you can solve a lot of problems. And that's why men, cause a lot of their own problems, because we want to just push that shit really deep down.
Sure, when you know, like, right, women, you know what's going on. Right? Not even just women, right? People who are in touch with their emotions tend to not react because of their emotion, right?
Yes.
They use their intellect rather than their emotion.
Yeah.
You know?
Thought process. I mean, I even do it to this day now. I had to change certain aspects of my life, how my thought process was. And what I do a lot of is I don't allow myself to get angry for more than 15 minutes. The majority of the time, the things we get angry at are not worth it, but we don't think about it. We just react.
For sure.
That's where you have to learn not to let the emotion cause a quick reaction. You have to try to think prior to every action in your life. And it might be a time where it's really quick and you have to do it really quick, but you still have to do it. So I urge everybody to just slow down just a little bit before any action in your day-to-day life and see how much that changes everything. It's huge.
Just to pause for a second.
That's
right?
it.
I'm angry, right? Just stop count to 10.
Yeah.
Right? Take a couple breaths. Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you calm down a little bit, right,
Yep.
dude? You get the oxygen flowing and your blood pumping, and like you just like...
Yeah. And I've had to do that to even other people, even at work and things like that. And I've had them tell me how I help them calm them down and stuff, because I have to say, all right, dude, I get it. You're upset. You're mad. You're angry. Let's just slow down for a second. Let's just calm down, relax, and we'll figure it out. But that demeanor makes them just relaxed and say and feel like it's going to be somewhat okay, rather than heightening everything.
For sure, dude. Like I've told you a few times, like, you're really good at what you do.
Oh, thanks.
Right, dude? Like, and I really wish that there was more guys out there like you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that, man.
Because, like, it wasn't always like that, right? I remember, like, one guy got excited, he'd stop me all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like, never found anything.
Yeah.
You know, and like one day he got excited, started screaming, "I got you now," because my license was suspended.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I hear stories about stuff like that, and that really kind of hurts me, because I have to deal with the aftermath of what other police officers' actions are.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Just like you have to deal with the aftermath of what the actions of other addicts.
For sure. Stigma, right?
Exactly.
We're not all bad people. You guys aren't all bad cops. Are there shitty people out there? For sure, dude. It doesn't matter what their profession is.
Right. Exactly. And that's like, I see all these protests going on, all these things. And I even said today, I said it to a couple people, made a little video about it. You see somebody get shot, and it's a whole big uproar now, right? And the cop's life is turned upside down. You have the media, and everybody's divided in these police shootings, okay? And they want to crucify the police and all these things. Society really needs to understand themselves better. And what I say by that is I said this. Think of it like this. You're out walking the street one night, and a criminal comes up to you and robs you at gunpoint. Says, give me everything you got, or I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you now. The majority of society is going to stand there, comply, give them everything because they don't want to die. Why can't they do that for cops?
I don't know.
Isn't that mind? That boggles my mind, because it's like you have a criminal who is taking things from you, who is obviously a bad person, and you're more obliged to comply with them than you are with a police officer these days. But yet you'll call a cop after you get robbed and need them to come.
For sure.
So that's what boggles my mind, because it's like, obviously if a cop has you at gunpoint and telling you what to do, why would you not do it? Why would you not do it? It makes zero sense to me. And these are the actions that society needs to do better. You can't just jump on the trend of, I hate cops, I'm not going to comply, I'm going to try to push their buttons, I'm going to try to make them look bad, because bad things can happen when you do that.
For sure, right? You get scared, right?
Well, everybody's a human being, and everybody has reactions, emotions, and defense mechanisms. And even though police officers are trained to do these things, you can't always be trained for a situation like that, because it's never the same.
For sure.
Adrenaline running, it's quick, it's fast.
Split second.
And the thing is this, the majority, I'll be honest, I've never met a police officer that looks to be in a predicament like that goes out there looking to hurt people, that wants to do harm to people. I have never met one. I've never met one in 13 years. Do they exist? I'm sure there has been. And I don't condone that. But I've never seen it. That's why I say, like, society needs to do better. Society does. Because if you comply and you just do the right thing, the majority of the time you're never going to have an issue. Yeah, you might come across a cop that's an asshole. You know what I mean? But that like you said, that could be in any profession. You know what I mean? Who knows what their life is? Maybe they're just an asshole personality. It is what it is. But you're not going to die. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not going to die. So we need to, and this is something I touch on only because it's no different than the addiction situation, all these things. There's epidemics going on in this world. But like we talked about earlier, being interconnected and working together as a society is what can really bring these epidemics to a halt, or at least contain them for the time being. You know what I mean? So, but Todd, I'm gonna let you go. I want you to be a regular on this. I want the people to see how you're progressing, if you're working towards those goals, and how you're doing it on a future basis. I would love to keep having you on, and I would love to keep basically sharing your story. And I think the biggest thing is that can motivate people would be knowing the after effect. Hey, I listened to Todd. I wonder what's going on, and that's what I want. I want people to just really connect and say, wow, I like that guy. I want to see how he's doing. I want to keep seeing how he's doing,
right
even
on,
if
man.
you guys don't know each other. You know what I mean? That's what I want this connection, this show to be about. So I had a great time talking to you. I'm glad we reconnected.
Me too, man.
Thanks for reaching out to me. I'm very proud of you, bro.
I'm proud of you, man.
Extremely proud of you. And I want you to really stay on track. I want you to be everything that you dream of being. You go back to school, you get that master's, you do whatever you need to do to reach that goal. You know now that you have that ability. You've already done it.
Oh, for sure, man. If I can go through what I've went through to get where I'm at, there's really nothing that I can't do.
Exactly. And that's the mindset that people need to have. And you're showing people that. And if it's up to you, but if people need help, can they reach out to me? to where I can put them in touch with you?
Absolutely.
That's great. So
Absolutely.
you hear it first here. If you are suffering from anything that is causing your life to go downhill and you need advice, you need to talk to somebody, whether it's addiction, alcohol, anything, Todd's here to help. Okay? You can reach out to me. We will connect you with him, and you can do exactly what he did with his life. It's possible. So I wish everybody out there a great night. Todd, have a great night.
You too, Jay. Thanks for having me
And
on.
yeah,
man.
absolutely. Next time, man, we'll see how you're doing, and we'll keep progressing in this life. So everybody, live well, and remember, love, care, compassion, and do it for the love.